Margaret Kean-Corla, Taoiseach, my question to you is in the context of reports that we have from staff who will be letting go from tracking and tracing during the COVID crisis and to be replaced by people on CPL contracts. Now, I asked a question of the HSE, I asked a question of the Minister, and it was passed to the HSE, of the numbers of those who had been redeployed from other services who come from speech and language therapy, speech and language therapists, occupational therapists and psychologists. And I ask this because there are tens of thousands of parents out there who are anxiously waiting for those services for their children, like the parents of Shay, an 8-year-old boy from Walkinstown who's Down syndrome and has no speech and language therapist, no occupational therapist, no physiotherapy, no psychology services. And in this context, the HSE tell me that as of the 18th of September, there were 16 speech and language therapists redeployed to tracing and tracking and 8 occupational therapists. Now, what I want to know from you today is, given that exponentially those waiting lists are expanding and expanding for desperately needed services, can you guarantee that no speech and language therapists, no occupational therapists, no child psychologists or other desperately needed personnel will be or still are redeployed to tracing and tracking?
Taoiseach.
Yeah, that is the objective, Deputy, and it's my view that there should be a separate workforce for swabbing and for contact tracing, a dedicated workforce. And that's what the HSE has been undertaking. And that means then the redeployment back to the front line and to the key services such as physiotherapists, occupational therapy, speech and language therapy and other services. Because I believe those personnel are best deployed in those scenarios to look after people such as the young boy that you mentioned. And that is what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. And there's been very significant progress made in relation to that. And in my view, we shouldn't have therapists having to do the contact tracing. No, there may be some incidents where you have someone could be in a managerial role. Look, I've said what our aim and objective is. There will be people who will have built up experience over the first phase and the second phase. We don't want to throw all the experience out immediately. Some people who know how to operate this and manage the system will still be, I imagine, and I surmise, required. But our objective is to have the therapists back providing therapy services.
Deputy Shanahan.